안녕하세요. 감사합니다. My name is Eiji. I'm from Google Japan office, and I'm working on Chrome and web. Today, I'd like to talk about Progress Web Apps. Do you know? Have you heard about Progress Web Apps? Can you raise your hand? Not so many people. Okay, that's good. Because I made my slide very basic. That works. So let me start off with my personal experience. One day, I was trying to purchase a sweater in an apparel shop. I went to a shop and looked around, and I found a new, nice-looking sweater. So I brought that sweater to the cashier to make purchase. While I was on the line, I noticed that there was a sign on the cashier that I can get 5% discount. But there's a condition. I have to install an app to my Android device and register to the shopping service. So I decided to download it. It took me about 2 minutes. Then I found that there's a registration form, which I have to put my email address, my physical address, and so on. So I was typing it, right? It takes a long time. Then I realized that I'm already at the cashier. Then I finally given up on registering the service. It's only a 5%. It's okay. It was about 3,000 yen, so it's not a big deal. But haven't you had this kind of experience before? I don't know if this 5% discount thing is happening in Korea, but I had this experience. And I also think that even if I install the app to my device, I won't use it anymore, right? So that's, I think, the very ridiculous experience. So here's the statistics from our research. It's showing that people usually use their smartphones about 1 hour and 49 minutes a day. And if you break it down, it's about 1 hour and 28 minutes for native apps, while people use only 23 minutes for web. So people are using native apps far more than websites, visiting websites. But here's another research. Among the 1 hour and 28 minutes, 80% of their time is actually occupied by top 3 apps, which means that rest of a lot of apps are not used so frequently. And here's another stats. So within 1 month, people use about 25 native apps, while people access websites more than 100. So all these researches can conclude that people love native apps, but they focus on certain apps, but website has more reach from your point of view as a developer or service provider. So I decided to come up with some kind of list of good points about native apps and websites. So apps, if you build a good app, it works faster, and it's performant. It works offline. And it can send push notifications. And it's easy to access because it sits on the home screen of your device. On the other hand, websites, it's searchable. You can search for your website through Google or Naver. And the websites can be interlinkable, so you can just tap on a link to go to another website. So you can go to another site, right? And website works cross-platform. So if you build a website, it works on Chrome, Firefox, Edge, iOS, Safari, and so on. And also, it works for Android, iPhone, iPad, Windows, Mac, Linux, so many platforms, right? And finally, ephemeral means that it lives short term. So if you install an app it lives forever inside your device unless you uninstall it. But for websites, it only lives while you're browsing it. You can immediately delete it, even though it's cached. It's very temporary. But what if we can combine these native apps' good parts and website good parts together? That's what we call Progress Web Apps. So Progress Web Apps are the next generation of the mobile web. And we, Google, consider that this is a big deal. Last month, we organized an event called the Progressive Web App Summit in Amsterdam, in Holland. It was, as you can see, that the name is titled as Progress Web App Dev Summit, which means that we never name something after not important thing. So this means that we consider Progress Web Apps very important stuff. And also, we invited other browser vendors, such as Mozilla, Microsoft, Edge, Opera, and Samsung. So that means this Progress Web App thing is not only important for Google, but also for other browser vendors, and also for entire web. So we are trying to move web forward by promoting and encouraging people to consider about Progress Web Apps. So let's have a look at what are Progress Web Apps. So here's a very good example of application which we can call Progress Web Apps. I'd like to demo it right now. So here you can see an icon on the left top side. So I will just tap on it. And it loads like a native app, but this is in fact a website. So, as you can see, the performance of this website is incredible. And on top of that, if you turn on the airplane mode, it still alive, and you can still browse around. But as soon as you get to somewhere that's not cached, you see that it's offline. The color turning to gray indicates that it's offline. And as soon as you turn the connection back on, it comes back to life again. Oops. OK. So this was a good example of Progress Web App. So Flipkart is a mobile website built by an Indian company. And it's a shopping site, as you could see. So let me show you what are consisting Progress Web Apps one by one. The first thing you might notice that I have launched the website from the home screen. I will talk about it. So there's a website called Townwork, which is built by one of the Japanese company called Recruit, has built Progress Web Apps. And they have implemented this Add to Home Screen feature. And surprisingly, their conversion rate, which this website is, by the way, for job listing website. So you find a job, and if the user applied to a job, that means that they are converted. So surprisingly, comparing to the drive-by experience, which means that they search for the site and just drive by to the website. Comparing to drive-by experience and the one launched from the home screen, their conversion rate on the home screen was twice as much as drive-by experience. So this means that people perceive the launching from home screen is some kind of special experience. To add your website to home screen, here's what you should do. This is a little text file. This is nothing difficult, just a text file. The format called JSON. So you put name, the URL to the icon, and where the path of the URL it should launch. And display means that how would you want to present the website. So you might have noticed that the app launched from home screen didn't have the URL bar. So you can hide that also. And you can also add background color and theme color so that it will be more app-like experience. And send that to the server and add this link tag to the HTML. And that's it. So it's so easy to do this. And with that, you might be able to get same 200% conversion rate. But this experience doesn't sound too fascinating for you, because we had that similar feature since early days of iPhone. So here's a new thing. By installing this manifest thing to your website and launch from Chrome, you will get this app install banner, which recommends users to add the website to home screen without your effort of recommending it. And there are 4 conditions. One is to add the web manifest. The second is to use Serviceworker, which I'm going to talk about later. And use HTTPS. This is a fundamentally important thing. Every progress web apps should use HTTPS. And the user access the website multiple times, and at least 5-minute interval. Sumo, which is a real estate search site in Japan, also implemented this add to home screen feature. And they started add to home screen feature only at the top page. But after expanding that add to home screen feature to all the other pages, their page view jumped to 3 times more than before. So by using add to home screen feature, it will change the user's perspective, user's feeling. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about a new feature called Serviceworker. So Serviceworker is a significant change for the web, just like Ajax changed the web at the Web 2.0 era. So let me show you another example. So here's a website called Washington Post. It's a famous newspaper. So I open the Washington Post from the home screen again. And as you can see, it's a news website. But what surprises you is when you tap on the news article, please keep your eyes open and see how fast it is. It's almost no interval. Okay. Can you change the slide? Hello? Okay. So what was happening was that this website is using something called cache or offline feature. So the website opens up, then starts to download the news content and store that locally. So it actually the content was actually already loaded at the website. You might think that that might be heavy lifting to load all the news content, but it's actually still smaller than previous website. So Washington Post is still providing this PWA thing as a beta, and it's a hidden URL, but it's significantly faster. So the secret of this behavior is something called Serviceworker. So Serviceworker sits behind the browser and keep running separate from the website. It runs even if you close the website. It runs even if you close the browser itself. So you can do a lot of interesting things. So for example, one thing that you could do is offline. So because the Serviceworker can act as local proxy, you can send a request from the browser, Serviceworker catches it, and send a request to the network. But when you get the response, the Serviceworker can store that response to the cache. The next time the browser tries to send a request, you can, instead of trying to reach out to network, instantly send back the response from the cache. That's how it works. And Sumo, again, implemented this offline cache feature. Their load time of the website decreased by 75%. And Flipkart, the earlier example website, has also implemented this add to home screen plus offline cache. The actual experience launching from the home screen, people spend 3 times more time than before. And by using the offline cache, they use 3 times less data, and also increase 70% of the conversions. And finally, the re-engagement, which means that people come back to the app by 40%. It's really strong engagement with the user. And the largest topic about this using Progress web apps might be this, web push notification. So engagement with the user and the website has a long history. Ever since we started kind of web culture, we've been historically asking users to submit their email address so that you can send like direct message to them to ask them to come back for many reasons. And as time goes by, we have more options. So we use something called social media. So you ask people to like or follow the website, and you can send the message to them. But it requires people to sign up to those kind of social media in the first place. And finally, we discovered something called native app, which can send push notifications, but it's a big hurdle for people to install the app, right? So if they could install the app, your job is almost done. You just want them to keep up using the app. And here comes web push notifications. What is good about web push notifications is that you don't have to ask users for submitting their email address. You don't have to ask them to sign up to the social media and follow. You don't have to ask people to install the app, but you can ask them to just grant permission to send push notifications. If you have experience using the Facebook on mobile, you might have noticed that they already provide this feature. So without installing Facebook native app, you can just by using Facebook mobile app to receive this. So web push notification also works along with Serviceworker. So Serviceworker, as I said, sits behind the browser all the time without the web page opening or browser opening, so that you can receive the push notifications anytime from your service. That's how it works. And Sumo, again, uses these push notifications, and their open rate turns out about 32%. If you consider email open rate tends to be about 5% to 10%. It's a significantly large number. Okay, two other topics I would like to cover here. So one thing I'm going to talk about in the next session after 30 minutes is about the identity management. So Credential Management API allows you to control users' credential information. So like, if you have an app and people drive by to your website, then they happen to register your website in order to purchase something, but they forget. What if they come back after 1 year later, 2 years later? It should be very good that they still remember their ID and password and use it and keep using it. So if you look at this AliExpress example, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a blue bar that's showing that you are signing in without explicit action. So I will talk about this API in the next session, but this is also our new feature we count as a Progress Web App. And another feature that I would like to talk about is web payment. The payment request API is going to be a thing soon on the web. So web payment will provide browsers consistent native experience with less typing on the smartphone and providing service providers better streamlined information about the payment. I'm going to talk about this web payment API as well in the next session. So here's the summary. The Progress Web App, you can add to your home screen. You can offline make your website work offline using the cache. And by using web push notifications, you get better engagement with the users. With identity management, you can keep users signed in. And with web payment, you can get people more streamlined experience when they are making the purchase. And finally, I still have some time, so I would like to talk about how you should consider about the Progress Web App. So the Progress Web App is kind of an umbrella term, which is summarizing these all features into one word. And building Progress Web Apps sounds a little bit awkward for me, personally. I think that you guys should always think about building the best experience as possible, regardless of if it is Progress Web App or not. Just consider these are separate features. And if you think that makes sense to add these features onto your website, just do it. It doesn't have to be Progress Web App. Let's just make the web a better place. I still have some time, but here's the end of my session. And if you have any questions, I can take that. Anyway, 감사합니다. Thank you.